Hello, welcome. I have another dragon message for you tonight, and I have a little bit of an idea of what they want to talk about. I've written some notes down from um, some automatic writing that I was just doing. So I'm going to kind of look at the notes and kind of share with you what they've said, and then I think they have more to say. So I'm going to hopefully start channeling what they want to tell you. So basically, they're starting out by saying that they're the dragons from the Pleiades star system, and they feel like this is a really urgent message that they want to share with you. And they're saying it's time to stop living our life for other people. That the more that we concern ourselves with other people's problems, meaning when we own stuff that's not ours to own, or when you make decisions based on how you're so concerned about other people, that we end up actually making the collective like the grid where we're all connected, it becomes like noisy and there's interference, which then makes it actually more disconnected. And that the more authentic we can be, the clearer the collective consciousness becomes. Because when we're not authentic, then we're self-abandoning. And when we're self-abandoning, it's like we're adding more noise and density and really darkness into the collective consciousness. And so we have it wrong, essentially. They're saying that humans think that by being inauthentic and saving other people's, maybe like hurting their feelings, or we're not speaking up because we're afraid of people leaving or rejecting us, that's actually making it all worse. And so the more we can tune into how we feel, say our truth as kind as possible, of course, then the more we show up for ourselves, the clearer the connections between us get. And then honestly, the higher vibration we all become. And we are all helping each other raise up. And right now, with this ascension that's happening on Earth, it's more important than ever to find our own personal power so that the collective power can come together. And they're making it sound like our authenticity is the key. So when we talk about, tuning into your intuition and raising your vibration, that is only accessible when you are authentic. And the more authentic you become, the more you are accepting your full self, which is your shadow and your light, and the darker parts of yourself and the light parts of yourself. And then the more we can accept that in ourselves, the more we're really accepting about that with everyone we know. And the more I can accept that every single person has a dark side and a light side, then the more we can all raise up together, because you can't go up without going down. You can't tune in to your high vibration intuition without grounding yourself into the realities of like who you are. And so this message feels very important, in that, what gets in our way, what stops us from continuing to raise our vibration, is not fully accepting the darkest parts of ourselves. So I think the message seems to be that when we want to ascend and we want to we want to connect our intuitions, and we want to have a spiritual awakening, and we want to continue to raise accepting ourselves fully. And so as a therapist, this is from my therapist self here, like the practice with that is really kind of asking yourself some hard questions about, like, what are the parts of myself that I don't like? Those parts of myself are the parts that I need to start liking. So for example, like if someone is, maybe they are kind of disorganized when it comes to their money, and they maybe shop to cope with life, which I think a lot of us, at least in the United States, do. And maybe that's something that they hate about themselves. They don't like it. They don't feel proud about that version of themselves. Well, this practice then would be, let's lean into loving on that part of yourself. And to be honest, when you love on it, it'll probably start to dissolve itself. It'll start to feel better. There'll start to be some more structure around it. You'll start to feel like you're more in control of it when you love on it. But when we resist it, it becomes something that feels out of control, which means you're doing it from like almost that animalistic, habituated place, instead of from a grounded, like I'm choosing this place. And so the more in therapy, we talk about what we resist persists. So it's that idea, right, of like, the more I resist the parts of myself that I don't actually like, then the bigger they actually kind of get in my life, and the more out of control they feel. So like if we're afraid of something, and the more fear you put into whatever it is that you're afraid of, the more fear is going to grow and the bigger it's going to get. And And then the less authentic we can really be. Because if we know that there's something that we should be doing on this earth right now, like maybe it's a job, or maybe it's a relationship, or maybe maybe we should change our relationship. Maybe we need to leave the person we're with, or maybe we need to change our jobs or go to school for something, or whatever it is that you're feeling called to do and you're not doing it. That is inauthentic. That is out of alignment with the path that you're supposed to be on. Now, are you learning lessons while you're in out of alignment? Of course, and that's important too. But in order to ascend and find this high vibration that it seems like we're being called to get to as humans right now, our authenticity is more important than anything else, is what the dragons are saying. And our collective consciousness with that is more important than anything. So we have to keep in mind that we're all connected. So my shadows are your shadows, and your shadows are my shadows. And the more I can love myself and my own shadows, the more I'm loving your shadows. And the more grace I can have for myself, the more grace I'm having for you. And anybody that I don't like, anybody that I love, like it's people you love, it's people you don't like, it's people you maybe even hate, which, that word is tough, but I think that, like, it's true though. Like that's shadow work, right there is like, I struggle with that word hate, but that's probably because it's a shadowy part to myself of like, I don't really like to admit that I maybe like really dislike somebody. So now I'm not trying to say that every single person you meet should be your best friend and we have to get along with everybody. That's not at all what I mean. There's going to be people on this planet that you're not in vibration with, and that is okay. But in order for us individually to find our personal power, to be able to build our intuitions, to be able to ascend into the highest vibration, we have to allow for our own flaws to be loved on. And so that is the message of this video today, is loving on the parts of ourselves that we don't like. And so, all right, let's talk about how we do that. So again, like I said, when you start to think about things you don't like about yourself, we need to start leaning into that. And so a couple ways in a therapeutics perspective, you could externalize it. So let's say something you don't like about yourself is that you feel like you maybe talk too much when you're nervous. Okay, so what I would want you to do is I'd want you to externalize that out in front of you. I would want you to put that, like create a visualization of what that could look like out in front of you. And I want you to externalize it so that it's over here. And I can then, it's like, I'm visualizing this, of course, and I can picture it in front of me. And then I'm visibly loving on it. Maybe I'm pulling it to my heart. Maybe I'm telling it that it's okay. I'm here for you. I'm going to love on you. This part of me that I think is bad for some reason, I'm going to love on you. And I'm going to like bring it into my heart space. And instead of just berating it or being mean to it, and really like, oh my gosh, think about the things that we say to ourselves sometimes can be so abusive. You would never let a friend talk to you like that. My guess is you'd never let a boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or partner or a parent or ideally we wouldn't let people in our lives talk to us sometimes the way we talk to ourselves. So we need to stop that. We need to stop tolerating this dense, yucky, abusive behaviors that is pervasive in our own brains, but also to each other. It's been said recently that the narcissism archetype is being called out and it's being confronted, and we need to do that within ourselves too. We need to call it out, we need to confront it, but instead of being mean to it, we need to love on it. So we want to love on the parts of ourselves that we don't like. And definitely let me know if you need some help with this. I think that it's incredibly important, and the authenticity part cannot come out if you are being so mean to yourself. It's hard to be authentic and to really be self-aware about what's even happening in here if I'm constantly being hard on myself, because then I don't want to face myself. If I can't face myself, then I'm not going to be self-aware. And if I'm not self-aware, then I can't be authentic. So like it doesn't work, right? So we have to get into our shadow parts of ourselves, love on those, build that bridge where it feels like we can invite that part of ourselves home. And then we can work on what it means to like work on being a higher vibration being. And once we start to grow our vibration, like build our vibrations where they're higher and higher, then our spiritual gifts within our human body start to unlock. So we start to recognize, wow, maybe I am really empathic and I can read what my friends are feeling without them saying it. Maybe I am telepathic and I can actually hear people's thoughts. Maybe I am a medium. Maybe I can sense the unseen. I can see and hear and sense when there's spirits around. And maybe even more than that. Maybe I know when there's like fairies or extra dimensional beings, or all these other things that are happening with around us that we don't recognize until we start to do this journey. And so it's not necessarily about love and light. So please don't hear that as the message. The message is digging into the shadow parts of ourselves, loving on yourself, so you can allow yourself to raise up and access your love and your light on a deeper, more holistic level. So I hope this is making sense. I think that our connection to the collective is also part of this message. I think the dragons are really wanting to make sure that we know that in order for us to raise our vibrations as a collective into, this ascension process into the fifth dimension, which is what so many mediums and channelers and spiritual people are saying, that we're moving into this from the third dimension to the fifth dimension. But in order to do that, we as a collective need to push each other up, to help each other. And all of the noise that gets added into the collective is getting in the way. And so the more we can love on ourselves, the more we're loving on everybody else, and the more we can access higher vibration and get to this higher ascension. So I really want to know what you think in the comments. Tonight's discussion was, the dragons were speaking around me. Kind of, I was like pulling in their information, but I wasn't, I was talking myself that whole time. So when, the dragons at some point will probably be wanting to take over my voice. And when that happens, I'm assuming it'll be obvious to everyone, but we'll see. And of course, like at any time I feel like it's me talking versus them, I'll make sure to share that, because I want to make sure you know what's going on as I'm working through this work and spreading their messages. And we just want to say that we love you all. That's them. The dragons, we love you all. I love you all. We're in this together. This is a very interesting time to be human, and we are headed in the right direction. We just got to keep our heads up and keep going and work together. So love you so much. Text. Well, you could find me on Instagram and message me at any time. Please do that. Or comment below if you'd like any support with what I'm talking about, and can't wait to see you next time. Bye.